Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Live with RYE. I'm your host, RYE, and I am so thrilled you are joining me today. I just want to thank you for your continued love and support throughout all of this. It means so much to me, and I cannot believe we're already on 12 episodes. There is so much more to come, so please stay tuned. I do have a favor to ask of you, though. If you're joining us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my YouTube channel below so you never miss an episode of Live with RYE, and it also helps the channel out as well. If you're joining us on Facebook, hit that thumbs up and like us on Facebook. Also, be sure to follow me across social media at RYE the News Guy. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I love hearing from you, and let's continue the conversation. So I'm at RYE the News Guy across social media. And finally, you'll see my website scrolling across the bottom of the screen, ryeTheNewsGuy.com. Head over there to rewatch all episodes of Live with RYE and to see all of my other exclusive content and interviews, including the launch of my new production company, RYE Entertainment. You'll also see my Venmo handle scrolling across the bottom of the screen as well. If you are so inclined, I would appreciate it if you would consider donating to the show Live with RYE and our platform, ryeTheNewsGuy.com. Any amount helps, and your support means so much, even your kind words. Without you, I could not do this. So thank you. Now let's get on with today's show. I am so excited to welcome my very special guest, creator of the new musical, Night of the Living Dead musical. Please help me welcome my very special guest, Jordan Wolfe. Hey, Jordan.
Hello. Nice to see you on this lovely Friday the 13th.
Yes, it is. And it's funny you say that. I was like, when I booked this interview, I was like, oh, this is even better. It's Friday the 13th. So
spooky.
Yes, very spooky. Perfect for this. So tell me, where did the idea come from to write the musical version of Night of the Living Dead?
Well, you know, I'm a huge horror movie fan, and I'm a big musical theater guy. I'm an actor, singer primarily. And, you know, I love when you can kind of bring the two together. I'm a big fan of Little Shop, Bat Boy, all that kind of thing. And, of course, Night of the Living Dead, the musical, is kind of a crazy comedy, over-the-top rock and roll version of the movie, which is 1968, Night of the Living Dead. In some ways, the first zombie movie. And I was watching it and thought, you know, why aren't they singing? So I fixed the problem.
I love that. No, well, you know what? It's a good. Was there something specific though was that your favorite movie growing up, or did you just?
I love that movie, and you know, I admire it because it's a first on so many levels. You know, it was the first indie movie to really get mainstream Hollywood kind of numbers, and it was you know, it really, George Romero, who wrote and directed it, really created our idea of what a zombie is. It was really his idea that a zombie was you know, a regular person. Could be anyone, you know, risen from the dead. He really made that up, and it was also the first, one of the first movies of any kind to have a actor of color as the hero. Definitely the first horror movie, and so it was really trailblazing, and you know, I've always loved it. And what's fun about the movie is, even though the original movie is the opposite of the musical, it's very serious. It's very dark. It's very it's almost a drama more than a horror movie by our standards, you know. And with The Walking Dead and everything, you know, we're so desensitized. At the time, people were terrified of it. But it really is kind of like a play, you know. It all takes place over one night in one small room with a small cast, which is the kind of movies I really love anyway. And so it just really lends itself to being brought to the stage.
For sure, yeah. So how did you create the musical to make it original, but also keep it true to the movie?
Well, one of the nice things about doing what I did with it, which is to kind of make it a parody, make it a really broad comedy. I created new characters, and it gave me a lot of freedom to not feel that I had to you know, copy the movie or live up to the movie exactly. I really treated the musical as its own thing. And, you know, one of the great things when, you know, the show ran Off-Broadway last year, premiere in New York, and we got such a great reception from both horror movie people, the hardcore people who know the movie backwards and forwards, and there's a lot of things in the musical that are kind of Easter eggs that if you know the movie. But also a great response from theater people who are like, oh, I kind of heard of that movie. I don't really know. Is that the black and white one? You know, who also had a lot, you know, took a lot from it and really enjoyed it. So that's exactly what I wanted. You know, I wanted it to be, it's very much its own thing that kind of pays tribute to the movie if you know it, but kind of works on its own. And so that's how I approached it from the very beginning. I'm like, this is a comedy. It's a rock musical. It's very much kind of my own sensibility. And, you know, it'll have moments where it, you know, it follows the movie, and then moments where it very much goes off and does its own kind of crazy thing and then comes back. And that was really fun to go, okay, what moments am I going to use from the movie? And then where am I just going to go completely on my own, you know, tangent?
Yeah, for sure. Now, in writing this, what was your favorite song to write, and what is your favorite song in the show?
Oh, wow.
Or are they one and the same?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of fun songs in the show. It was interesting to see after, you know, the album's out now from Broadway Records, and it's been interesting to see, you know, what songs people respond to. You know, one of the big ones that I do love is the song Coming to Get You, Barbara. They're Coming to Get You, Barbara. And if you've seen the movie, that's a famous scene. You know why there has to be a song called They're Coming to Get You, Barbara. It's in the beginning. It's a chase scene. And you know, I do love that song. It's kind of my Frank Wildhorn, Jekyll and Hyde type moment. There's a lot of different styles, a lot of different genres in the show, but I do love that. And then there's actually a song called "Don't Go in the Basement," which is not on the album, but it has a special place in my heart because it was actually the first song I ever wrote way back. I don't know, when I was in college and learning to play piano. You know, there's a piano in every room when you go to theater school. And that was like the first melody I came up with. So that was fun to kind of bring that back. But yeah, Coming to Get You, Barbara is a fun one. And the title song, you know, is a fun one too.
Yes. Well, and I have to say, I just have to put it out there. And I was saying this to Jordan before we started. These songs are really good. They're super catchy. You're going to have them stuck in your head. You're going to love them. I did not think I was going to like this album as much as I did, but We're Coming to Get You, Barbara, that has I'm not kidding you. It has been stuck in my head for the last week and a half. The theme song, the title song, Night of the Living Dead, is very catchy. And so, you know, yeah, you're welcome. So, you know, with that, you were talking about the songs and catchy, and you mentioned, you know, genres earlier. The feel to this sort of has a little bit of a comparison, I feel, to the Little Shop of Horrors musical, both with the feel and sort of with the songs. Did you set out to give it that feel, sort of that spooky, scary, but also fun vibe too that Little Shop has?
Yeah, well, yeah. You know, I know Little Shop like the back of my head, and I kind of made a point to not kind of listen to it or watch it while I was working on this, so it could kind of be its own thing. But no, I mean, one of the great things and the fun things about making it a comedy is you have so much more freedom to do all these different musical styles, and there's really a little bit of everything in this score. You know, there's a doo-wop song, there's some like 80s hair metal type stuff. Yeah. There's like a 80s like We Are the World power ballad. There's you know, there's a country song. There's all kinds of stuff, and that was one of the fun things that I was like, okay, what haven't I done yet? What like you know, what style haven't I you know, done? There's a Latin number, and that's something you don't really have the freedom to do as much if you're doing a more serious kind of version. So yeah, I sometimes the song, the style of the song really comes out of the character. You know, our hero Ben, who is on the album and in New York, played by Jamie Shapiro from NBC Smash. He was just on a new Fox show. He's amazing. You know, that I said, okay, I want him to be seaweed, basically, hairspray. So I was like, what's the musical language of a character like that? And I was thinking like, so his song, Under Control, is very, it's very like early Motown. It's very Stevie Wonder. It's very Temptations. And I was like, so sometimes it was, what's the musical equivalent of like their personality, which was a really fun thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess that's what's interesting about this musical is it's not your typical musical. It doesn't have sort of the same beat and sound. It's got so many different songs, so many different types of songs. I guess, was that sort of the good thing about making the musical Night of the Living Dead that, you could really sort of play around with it? Because that's what I found unique. It wasn't your typical cookie cutter musical with the same sort of song and pacing and had your typical, it went around, as you said. It has the metal, it has country, it has, sort of rock.
Yeah, no, that was very much the in for me, was to, it's so easy when you're writing a show to have a lot of the songs start to sound the same, and you kind of fall in the same, you kind of fall in the same chords that and so that was a great challenge to go, okay, what's the song I wouldn't normally write? It was almost like, what if this were written by like a team of different writers who all had their own thing? I'm a big classic rock fan, and when the Beatles did Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which is the iconic album, they called it that because they were like, we have so much, like, we don't want to do like a Beatles album or the stuff we're expected to do. Let's just do what this other band would do. What if we were Sgt. Pepper? What if we were this crazy other band? Like, and so that kind of is like, that was kind of the approach too. It was like, what would Jordan automatically write? Like, what would all these different people like come together, right? So that was kind of a fun schizophrenic experience. But sure. Yeah, I mean, that's what made the writing fun, and that's what, that also, from the reactions, there's a little something for everyone. I have a few friends who are Nashville musicians, and there's a country song called "This Ain't My First Rodeo" that the sheriff character sings, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is so like bro country, like early 2000s, like it's like." So everyone has like their own kind of little in with the score, which has been really fun.
Oh, that's awesome! That's awesome. Now, how long did it take you to write Night of the Living Dead musical?
I wrote it very fast. I'm sort of impatient, and I wrote it over like a 3-week period where I kind of wrote it all in order. I would do a scene, do a song, kind of like that. And if I came to a moment where it's like, okay, I have no idea what goes here, okay, I'll just put something and then keep going. So the first draft was quick, which is what I always like. If anyone asks me for advice, I always say, write your first draft as quickly as possible so you know what you have. You know what you're working on, and then you can figure out what you like and don't like. So I wrote it pretty quickly, and then I was writing it, and I started kind of going back and changing things and going, oh, maybe this song goes here, that kind of thing. And then at a certain point, you have to like hear actors read it, especially the dialogue, because some things are funny in your head, and then people read them, and it's like, and then the opposite. When the first read through that I did, when I brought a bunch of people together to read through the first version of the script, it was kind of like, some of the lines that I was like, oh, I love this, didn't get very much, and some of the lines that I just kind of wrote as kind of an aside were like the big, laugh. So that's always a great thing when you start hearing actors read it. And then we had a Halloween concert of the show at the end of 2018. And I was thinking, great, we had this great concert. I'll go back. I'll maybe work on it some more. I'll think about it. And then we got this really amazing, very last minute opportunity. There's availability to go off-Broadway, but you have 2 months. So it was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm not rewriting anything. And that's actually sometimes for the best. You don't have time to second guess yourself. You just have to kind of go. And so that's very much what happened with Night of the Living Dead, the musical, and that's very much what the original movie was. They made this movie in a few days, with very little money. They used chocolate syrup for the blood, because it was black and white, and so there's like it was kind of in that same spirit.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's so interesting. I mean, what was that experience like to, go off Broadway with this musical? I mean, you wrote this, you did some readings, but now, I mean, come on, that's big stuff off Broadway. I know it was a hit. What was that sort of feeling like to be off Broadway? And
no, it was incredible. I mean, I was wearing 900 different hats because I wrote it, also did the arrangements, and I was in the production off Broadway. I sing Dan the Science Man on the album. So it was kind of crazy because I was in it and working on it, and we were doing PR, and we were bringing in groups, and we were doing all this stuff, and it was just like it seemed like I was doing 50 people's jobs, but the reaction to the production was just amazing. It was just the best we could have hoped for. And this cast, a lot of whom are on the concept recording, are just the A team. I mean, these everyone on this album is unbelievable, and that was one of the best parts, to just be in the studio with all these people, share the stage with all these people. That was really a great thing. And at a certain point during the run, it didn't feel like a show I wrote. It felt like a show I was just doing, and that. So I guess that was kind of a nice feeling. But yeah, the Off-Broadway run went really, really well, and we started doing regional licensing out for regional productions, and seeing the regional premiere was really interesting, because it was a production I wasn't involved with or anything. We just sent off the stuff and went go, and we went out to Minneapolis Musical Theater to see it, and that was really cool to see a totally different cast, totally different director, different group, just kind of do their own thing with it, and they found different things, and there were different lines that got like a big laugh, or different, so that was really fun too.
Oh, that's awesome. That is just incredible. Now, you mentioned, regional theater and stuff. What is next for the show? Obviously, right now there is no theater happening. We're in this era of COVID, as everyone knows, but what are the plans for down the road? Is there anything happening virtually with it? Is down the road you hope to, when live theater and live entertainment resumes, bring it back to sort of a Broadway space, or continue to just have it be regional and licensed for schools?
Yeah,
and community theater? Plans?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, New York theater has been on a very long pause right now, which has been very sad for all of us. Once everything gets back up and running, I would love to bring Night of the Living Dead back to New York. That would be great. I mean, we were thinking about another kind of bigger New York production, before COVID happened. I would love that. We're still licensing it regionally. There's going to be the New Jersey premiere next Halloween, so that'll be fun. And there was just recently the first high school edition of the show that was done in a completely virtual, COVID-friendly production by Breakaway Theater, which is this amazing youth theater company in Boston. And they did it all with green screens and all remotely, and put it all together. It was really amazing. And writing the high school edition was a fun, kind of funny experience, because the show is way raunchier than like Little Shop and a lot of those. So I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna? I have to I have to get rid of that. I have to get rid of that. Right. And there were certain lines that I kind of missed, and they were like, okay, we can't have them say this. You have to do something else. So that was a funny experience too. But these kids they're from Boston, so it's like,
wow,
they've heard it. They know it all.
That's incredible. Did you ever think you were going to write a musical? I mean, I know you're a performer, actor, singer. You clearly are very talented. Did you have musical writing in your sort of horizon, or did it just sort of happen? And now that you've done this, is this kind of where you want to focus most of your attention going forward, or still do the acting and singing?
No, I feel very much, I'm very much an actor, singer primarily that wrote a show. That's very much how I think of it. I'm an arranger and orchestrator, and I've been doing that for many years. That was kind of my in. I've worked on arrangements for new shows, and done lots of different kinds of stuff, like that. But I thought, well, I could, I should try, writing a musical, and just see. It was just kind of a very low pressure at the beginning. I was just like, well, let me see what happens. See if, there were a few songs I had written before that hadn't really gone anywhere, or I hadn't really done anything with, and it was just very much a, nothing to lose, just kind of try it. But I had never written a show before. Really, I'd never written, I hadn't done a lot of songwriting before. I'd done a lot of arranging and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was very much a first. I'd written some straight plays and written some short plays. So I'd done things similar to, I've done things around writing musical, but I'd never actually written a musical. So it was an interesting experience. But I'm a huge musical theater fanatic, and I'm always talking with friends about different shows and how they're written and how they could be improved, or I've seen lots of really great. Steven Schwartz has an amazing masterclass on writing musicals and all that stuff. So I watched a lot of those kinds of things, and yeah, it was very much I'll give it a try, and worst case scenario, it'll be another file on my computer, you know. But going forward, I mean, I've written I've written a song for a short film that I just wrapped that's in pre-production right now. And so that was a really fun project. So I'm not like against writing in the future, but I'm definitely focused more on performing, and we'll see what happens.
Nice. Well, when you are writing, what sort of comes first? Does the songs come to you as you're writing? Do you write the script and then go back and fit the songs in, or how does that process work?
Well, with Living Dead, I wrote it very much in order. I did it very much song, scene, song, scene. You know, I kind of created a basic outline, which basically followed the movie, you know, at that point, you know, just the basic structure of what happens. And for the songs themselves, I'm a very complete, I don't write at the piano, because when I think, you know, at least for me, unless you're a really amazing pianist, I think you tend to fall. There are certain chords or certain things your hands like to kind of go to. And if you write kind of away from the piano, you come up with a lot of things that you wouldn't be able to play or wouldn't normally think of. So I do it kind of all, and I'm also very digital. I don't like writing anything longhand. I'll like write a grocery list on my phone. Like I'm very much not. I have terrible handwriting. So I do it all on my computer, and I kind of do it all at once. I'm kind of thinking about the lyrics, and thinking about the melody and the arrangement and how it's all going to fit together. I'm kind of thinking about it all in one go. And then you know, if it's like if something's really not quite, if I'm not really sure where something is, I'll you know, I'll move past and go back. But I usually kind of try to write it all, kind of music, lyrics, then the accompaniment. I kind of do it all at once in one kind of. It's all kind of one idea, usually.
Yeah. I like that. That's great. So how is or I should say, what is different from the musical than the movie? I know you tried to, you know, make it your own while keeping it true to the original movie, but what's changed about it? If you can talk it
yeah, there's a lot of different. So, so the two big changes. One is it's a totally new ending, completely new ending. The original ending, which the original ending is intentionally very kind of bleak, and gives you kind of a hopeless feeling at the end. The hero, Ben, finally survives the night. He's the last one, and there are these kind of, there's the sheriff with his group. Ends. So it's this very like sudden, like, that's it. So obviously I can't do that for the musical comedy version. So I created a kind of bigger ending where two of the other people in the house become zombies, and they kind of lure him into also becoming a zombie and taking over the night, taking over the world together. And that's the last song on the album, In for the Kill, which is a really fun number. And then in the movie, there's a lot of news. There's a lot of reports. There's a lot of like them sitting around listening to the radio or watching TV and listening to all these different anchors, and they talk to scientists trying to figure out what's going on. So there's a lot of that. So I kind of created these characters that would kind of give those news stories in the movie. And one of them is Robin Graves, who comes in several times and interrupts the action and does a few numbers on the radio. Those are the news broadcast songs on the album, which are the jazzy kind of fun numbers. And then there's a whole TV sequence in the musical where all these kind of crazy anchors and different people come in. And those are all original characters. These crazy German doctors come in and do a doo-wop number. There's Dan the Science Man, who's like a Bill Nye. type who comes in and talks about, it throws out all this scientific jargon. And so I kind of took the idea that the movie has of all these experts giving information and just kind of dialed it up to an 11.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, what advice do you have for aspiring, I should say, fellow artists who want to create their own musical, play, or other piece of work?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's so much I could say. I mean, the first thing, kind of what I was saying before, you can't. I think the worst thing you can do as a writer, whether you're writing a musical or a play, is to combine the writing and the editing process. You're just dead in the water if you try to write and edit at the same time. And a lot of people, I know a lot of writers or newer writers who will kind of write a few lines, I don't like it, go back, write a few lines, I don't like it, go back, and you kind of get in your head and you'll never finish anything that way. Basically, you'll just kind of stay in scene one for a few years. Mm-hmm. And so my best advice is to don't judge what you're writing while you're writing it. I know some writers who actually turn the light off on their screen, so they can't even see what they're writing. They just write. That helps them, whatever works. But I would say write a first draft of everything quickly. Take a few weeks or a month, not too much more than that, and just get a first draft of everything. Don't like spend a year on just the first act and then you do the second act, because what will happen is you'll start to write the second act after all that time. You go, oh, well, all these other things have to change because of what I end up, So my best advice is just don't judge what you're doing. Just write, and have a first draft of everything relatively quickly. And then you'll know what works, what doesn't, it'll be pretty easy usually to know where to go from there. That's my best advice. It's just don't judge while you're working.
I love that. That's such good advice for others. And I hope people listen to that. Well, this was absolutely wonderful. It's been so great to chat with you,
Jordan. Great to talk to you.
As we close out, is there any sort of last things you'd like to say or leave us with? Anything you'd like to tell us that we didn't touch upon?
No, I hope everyone listens to the album. It's out through Broadway Records. It's everywhere, everywhere you stream or.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah.
And you can also see the music video. It's on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram, which is NOTLD musical at Instagram. And I hope you have listened to the album. It's a lot of fun.
Great. And where can we keep up with you?
Well, yeah, NOTLD musical at Instagram, and you can find me through there. And you can also check out our website that has the latest on licensing the show. It has a lot of fun stuff on there, and that's just the Living Dead musical, thelivingdeadmusical.com. And so, or the Night of Living Dead musical.com. I'm still not quite over that. The Night of Living Dead musical, there it is. It's there. And thank you so much. It was really great talking to you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, my pleasure. It was so great to talk to you. So make sure you all check out Night of the Living Dead, the musical. You can stream it online on Spotify and Apple Music. Definitely take a listen. I highly recommend it. It is a great album. And Jordan, thank you so much. I wish you the best of luck, and I can't wait to see what comes next with the Night of the Living Dead musical.
Thank you so much. Great meeting you.
You're welcome. You as well. Take care.
Bye-bye.